Hi, everybody. Tonight I'd like to talk to you about journaling and specifically the 5 reasons, excuse me, the 5 reasons that I like journaling. And perhaps it's a habit that you could incorporate into your daily routine starting in the upcoming year. It's a great time to start new habits. I just want to start off too by saying that although there are many benefits to journaling, including mental health, keeping mental health intact. No, that's not right. Keeping mental health healthy. But I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a professional in any form, so don't take this as medical advice. And I'm not even like a professional journalist, not journalist, journaling is it? No, I like journaling, but I'm not like by any means an expert in journaling. This is just what I like to do. And these are the reasons I like to do it. And perhaps by discussing it with you, you could discover that it's something that you would like to try, and you could reap the benefits of journaling as well. So I feel that journaling has really given me some clarity over the years. It's helped my mental state, and maybe it could help yours as well. And I've just got some notes here because I don't want to forget to mention anything of value. I personally don't have any issues with leaving my journals lying around, because what's important is that everybody in your family or everybody that's in your life who may have access to your journals need to realize that they're private and they're for your eyes only. And hopefully people in your life will respect that. Because I think it's important that when you're journaling that you're honest. And, even if you sound maybe like you're saying horrible things about people or horrible things about yourself even, that you say them, because getting it out on paper is a process, is part of the process of learning more about yourself. So it's important to just not worry about somebody else reading your journal. And if that's not possible, then I suppose you'll have to keep your journal, hidden. So as I go on with this discussion tonight, I'm going to discuss my own experience with journaling and possibly why. And these are my journals in the background. So I've been doing it for a few years. The reason why I started journaling myself is because I think maybe I'm not the only person, but I don't have a lot of friends. Yay. I mean, not yay, but ooh, poor me. No, I don't have a lot of friends, and that's okay. I've got a busy schedule. And when you're raising kids and what have you, and you're working full time, it leaves very little room for friendships. And I found that I had stuff on my mind. I had stuff that I wanted to talk about and explore. And so instead of unloading on a friend, because I had very few friends, and they're busy with their own lives as well. We reach a certain point in our life where friendship is I find even more challenging. So instead of unloading my thoughts and my worries and stresses on another person, I found that journaling did that for me. So it's kind of like, if you go to a therapist, but if you do need to go to a therapist, please go to a therapist if you have issues. I didn't have issues. I just needed to talk to somebody, or again, unload my thoughts. And getting it out on paper helped me to explore my feelings and get it off my mind. So that's part of the reason why I started journaling, and I've kept it up ever since. Now, saying that, I'd like to also discuss that there's different books that people have written that I've looked into. One is The Untethered Soul. Yeah, The Untethered Soul, and they have a guided journal. If you're new to journaling and you really do have things that you need to explore deeply, or you need prompts, or you need ideas about what to journal about, or you've got past trauma that you're trying to work through, a rough childhood, or you've been through perhaps some terrible events in your life. Again, seek a professional therapist. If in the meantime, or if it's not within your means, or you're not comfortable with that, then perhaps, the Untethered Soul guided journal would be something to consider. I'll share with you that I got to page, I got to page 21 and then I put it aside. Maybe because I've been journaling for a long time, it didn't really resonate with me. But it says stuff like, now write the thoughts created by your mind about what you observe outside of yourself, for example. Or it'll be like, I don't know, let me see. What does it feel like to fall behind the disturbance? Write about the experience of noticing disturbances, relaxing and releasing, and allowing the disturbance to pass. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I'll get into more details later about how I actually journal. But yeah, it is something that you may consider. Another thing that I have is, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this as well, is I tried The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Or I should say, sorry, The Untethered Soul is Michael A. Singer. And there's a book. There's a book and there's a journal. Julia Cameron, I had heard about The Artist's Way a while ago and decided to pick it up. I got as far as week 5, page 90 out of 240 odd pages. And what I didn't like about this book is, well, what I did like about it is that it says to write 3 pages a day, every day, to make sure you write 3 pages a day. That's no big deal. And even if you have nothing to write, just to write, I have nothing to write, I have nothing to write, like 1,000 times, if that's what you want to do. So this one, what I didn't care for about this one is that I feel like it's geared more towards people who are maybe writers themselves, or people aspiring to be writers, which I'm not. I was hoping that it would help me because I do enjoy art, painting and stuff like that. So I was hoping that it would, but I find I'm not very creative. So I was hoping that it would help me with that creativity, which it didn't. And the other thing I really didn't like about it, and I should have read it because it was written right here, is it is quite spiritual, which, to each their own, but it's not really my cup of tea. I should also mention at this time that there are also tons of journals on the market that have prompts, which could be very helpful for somebody who's just starting out. If you're not really sure what to journal about, then prompts sometimes can help you get going, get with the flow, get into the habit, because developing a habit to journal takes time and patience, and you don't ever want it to become a burden or feel like a burden. So, sometimes for the first journal that you try, you might want to get one that's, a little guided, just like meditating. Some people can just sit down and meditate. Other people need more of a guided meditation. So yeah, so that's another thing to consider. Personally, I have blank journals. And I keep them very simple. I had at one point got into the whole, what's it called? Dotted journaling. I thought that was pretty cool. And I had also gotten into it in the sense that I bought like stickers, I bought washi tape, I bought even like scrapbook pieces of paper. And I had this big idea that I was gonna like decorate my journals and make them beautiful and fun. And I have one here actually to show you. I had started it and I had like all these tabs, like very specific, like about health. One's about health, one's about gratitude, one's goals. And then, I drew like pictures and even did like a calendar. What else? Geez, like I printed out pictures of stuff. Little pieces of paper and stickers, right? It's great, but I found I was spending so much time and effort. And this literally right now, it's the first time since the book has been finished that I've gone through it. So yeah, maybe in like 10 years from now, I'll appreciate the fact that I put so much effort into it. But quite honestly, if I have any piece of advice, like really reflect on yourself and where you want to spend your time, because I really believe time is valuable. And if you want to spend your time decorating your journal, great. For me, I found that that was taking away from my very limited time that I had to actually journal. And then it became more of a chore, and I kind of almost like dreaded it. And then, if not dreaded it, but like if I didn't make a page, if I didn't put anything pretty on a page, then I felt that I wasn't being appreciative of my journaling. So now my journal is, well, first of all, I have multiple journals. So let's discuss my multiple journals before I go further into this. Okay, so the noise is my cat. So I'm going to show you how I set up my journal. First journal that I have is a reading journal, which is pretty obvious because I love reading. So my reading journal this year is very simple setup. So at the beginning I put aside 12 pages, and I literally each month just write down the books that I read in that month, whether they were audiobooks, ebooks, or physical copy of books. And then I rate them. And then I have tabs for each month. And in those areas, I have a blank page at the beginning where I just write like quotes and notes about the book specifically, or what's going on if I went to any events, if I went book shopping, or if there's any books that I found that I want to look for. So that's at the beginning of each month. And then I simply just write reviews of the books that I read in that month. So I started doing this because I wanted to, like, there's lots of times where I'd start reading a book and then I'd get like 50 pages into the book, sometimes even more, and I'd be like, damn it, I've already read this book. And I'm not getting any younger, so my memory sometimes fades. So I write about the book because, one, just the exercise of writing something down does help you remember it better. And two, so that I have a record of what I've read in case I want to go back and see which books I've read. And if I really like them, then I can look for the same author who's written other books. Or if I didn't like them, same. So that's my very simple, basic reading journal. And then I have a everyday journal. So my everyday journal is exactly what it sounds like. It's just something that I write in every day. Personally, I like to write in my journal in the mornings. Some people like at night. That's another thing. I think when you start to journal is to pick out a specific time in the day where you're going to dedicate, like, it doesn't have to be long, 20 minutes, half an hour, even 5 minutes to journal. And we'll get into details about that later. So for me, my journal, again, very simple, very basic. I just have it written down, like the months. I have little tabs for the months. And again, at the beginning of each of those, I do a little decoration, just there. But here is where I write down like specifics that go on throughout the month. Like if I had an appointment, or if I don't know, something health-wise, like if I had a headache, if I bought something like a TV or what have you, places that we went, if we went out for dinner, if my parents came to visit, just things like that I might want to check back over time. I don't have to read my whole journal to see when I did my oil change, for example. It would be here, right? Or the last time I ordered David's tea, for example. So that's what this one is. And again, it's very simple. That's all I do. And some days I write like 3, 4, 5 pages. Other days I might write 1 page. So that's my everyday journal. And then I have a travel journal. That's this one. So in my travel journal, I just, again, tabs just say where I went on my vacation. And then when I go on vacation, I bring this with me, and every day I just write a little bit about, what happened during that during that day. Again, I write stuff at the beginning. I write stuff at the beginning of like how I'm preparing for it, the flight I took, how much the flight costs, where we might be staying, things I want to remember to bring. And then, I might write down things that I want to bring next time, like things I forgot to bring, or just tips, stuff like that. And then, from after that, it's just day by day, just little things. Sometimes there's drawings about what we did that day. And it helps me, again, remember trips. This one I actually printed out pictures to put in it. It helps you remember the trip better, I find. And this one I find is fun to go through afterwards. So that's that journal. And then another journal I have is it's a new one I started. It's a really small one, so I could carry it with me all the time. It's a commonplace journal. So I've been hearing a lot about commonplace journals, and I had no idea what they were. So I watched a video about it, a couple of videos about it. And what it is like, it's for things that you might want to remember, like things that you, like a poem that you like, or a perfume that you smelled that you want to maybe buy, or a band that you've heard, a song that you heard, and you want to find out who the band is and maybe look at the rest of their albums, or I don't know, somebody's phone number, or a store that you want to go to, a thought that you had, a poem, stuff like that. Some people make them like quite detailed, like they'll put little tabs, and they'll have like little tabs of health, books that you read, I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff. For me, it's because I a lot of times I would just take like a screenshot of things, or I'd take a picture of things, but then I've got, I don't know, 3,000 pictures, and then I don't bother to like allocate it somewhere, and then I forget. And so so for me, it's just really things that I want to make sure I remember. I could put it in my journal, but this little guy I carry with me all the time. So like I've got here books that somebody told me about that I want to look for, a phone number of rust proofing for my car, boots that I love. I found these boots, overland.com. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're really cool boots. And also like there's a purse that I really love called songmontoofficial.com. They're expensive stuff, mind you, so we'll see. So just stuff like that you want to keep in a little commonplace journal. And this little guy, like I said, is quite easy to carry it around with me. My last journal that I have is not really a journal, it's more like an agenda. And that's this big sucker. So it's a daily agenda. And I'm old school in the sense that I write down, for my work mostly, I write down, my to-do lists and like orders I have to place. And I write in it every day. It's comes in handy. So that's my like agenda. I don't have appointments really. And I don't even use it for appointments. It's more like reminders and things I have to do or things I've done. And the one coming up this year, I'm actually thinking of getting a bigger one, because like there's stuff that happens at my store, because I own a pet store, that I think would be fun to record. I think it would be fun to record. Like let's say a sales rep comes to visit me, then I want to put it down. Or I don't know, the guy next door this week had to call the police because he went to the pharmacy and got into a scuffle with somebody, and I don't know, just crazy stuff like that. I think would be fun to make a memory of it. So also it'll be kind of like a journaling / agenda, but more like for my work side of life as opposed to my personal side of life. So those are all my agendas. Or not my agendas, my journals. So the last thing I'm going to discuss now is the five reasons I journal and continue to journal. And if any of these things sound interesting to you, then by all means, give it a go. It doesn't really cost much. You could journal using a notebook or an exercise book, even pieces of paper. It's the exercise of writing. I have to be honest, I don't think at this point in time I've ever gone back to reread journals that I've written years ago. To me, the exercise is just to get it out on paper and to unload my brain and get it down on paper. So it could be anything. You don't need fancy pens. I have like a whole bunch of these pens. what are they? Fine liner color pens. I have a whole bunch of them just because I think it's fun to, in the morning when I go to journal, that I pick the color depending on my mood perhaps. And yeah, but I don't write carefully. I don't write beautifully. And quite honestly, if I were to go back and try to read my journals, I probably wouldn't even be able to read my own writing, because it's an exercise. And it's a habit that needs to be developed, or if you want to, you need to develop it. So give it a chance, give yourself a challenge of like doing it for, what did they say, 3 weeks? It takes 3 weeks of consistency to build a habit. So try it for 3 weeks and see what comes about. So for me, I'm just gonna read my notes that I have here. So for me, it was, the first reason is they wrote down as self-awareness. So I've discovered that a lot of times when something's bothering us, or something's got us angry or upset or mad, if we write about it and explore it and become aware of those feelings, a lot of times it's not what we think it is. Like, I said somebody really pissed me off the other day at work, a customer of mine. I shouldn't say that, but they did, because they were just asking me something that was none of their business, something to do with my neighbor. And when he left, I reflected upon it, and I actually wish that I would have had my work journal / agenda with me, the big one that I'm going to start using next year, because I would have written about it right away. Instead, I let it simmer. Like I kept it in my head, and it bothered me until I had time to sit down and write about it. And it made me realize that I actually I liked this person. I respected this person. So what he said to me made me mad, but more than that is I was disappointed. I was disappointed that he felt the way he did about what we discussed. And I realized a lot of times when we are mad, it's because we're disappointed. Our expectations have been shattered or broken or what have you. So yeah, so the journaling is definitely, it's self-awareness about how we're feeling. It releases stress. Again, that's probably the same situation. If I was to look at the same situation, it releases stress because I worry less, because the whole idea of writing something down takes it out of my head. And so I don't stress about it as much. Or I realize that what's stressing me about something shouldn't be stressing me, because in reality, it's not that big a deal, perhaps. So yeah, I find personally it helps me relieve stress when I journal. And it's the meditative state, or perhaps, or the mindfulness of it, that releases the stress. I don't know. The third thing is memory. I mentioned this earlier. A lot of times, if we write something down, even if we don't go back to look at it, just the act of writing it down does help us remember better. So so memory definitely, like if you're writing about an event that took place, I guess science says that you'll remember the event better and in more details if you've taken the time to write about it. So yeah, I think that's important. I try every day to, so yeah, that's true. So I do write every day one thing that I'm grateful for. So that's part of my journaling. That's number 4. Is to write down something that I'm grateful for, something that I'm thankful for. And the reason I do that is because the more we realize that we have things to be grateful for, the more we will look for them, and we will turn situations around to say that I should be grateful and appreciative. I think that's important. So again, that's not for everybody, but that's what I do on a daily basis, is that I used to do it like a minimum of 3 things a day, but that didn't work for me. That wasn't working for me. So I said, you know what? Let's go with at least 1. So every day I put at least 1 thing that I'm grateful for, and it's making me I feel like it's making me a more positive person. The last one I'm not so sure about, it's creativity. I suppose, yeah, if I look at it as far as creativity goes, again, I think the working journal is going to be helpful for that, because a lot of times when I have a problem or I have an issue or I'm trying to like an event coming up or something, something's not working well at the store, if I write about it, then, I start throwing out ideas. So things start to flow and I become more creative in that sense. Is it true? Yeah, I think it's true. It's more creative in solving problems too. Like it's not just black and white, because I'm writing it out. I'm really thinking about it, and by thinking about it, you become more creative in solutions, perhaps. So that's it for me. Those are my reasons for journaling. Hopefully you will pick up the habit. I think it's a great habit to have. And again, it doesn't cost anything, just some time. And you could use any sorts of paper, any sorts of pen. Pick a time in the day that you could dedicate every day to journaling, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, and give it a try. New Year's coming. It's a great time to start a new habit. And maybe it'll be something that'll help your mental health. I think everybody needs some help with their mental health, not just these days, but more so these days probably than the past. But yeah, so good luck. I hope you give it a try, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments below if you journal now, or if it's something that you're gonna start trying. And good luck.